Bahrain says it's discovered its biggest oil field since 1932. According to the government, it could dwarf the country's current reserves. The field is located off the west coast of the kingdom and contains oil as well as large amounts of natural gas. The oil ministry will release initial findings of the field's size on Wednesday. Bahrain pumps about 45,000 barrels of oil a day from its Bahrain field. That production helps rank it 57th on the list of the world's biggest oil producers compiled by the US Energy Information Administration. It also shares income with Saudi Arabia from the offshore Abu Safar field. That produces about 300,000 barrels a day. Let's get more on Bahrain's oil find, and for that, let's go to Paris. And joining us from there is our editor-at-large, Craig Copetas. Hello, Craig. Great to see you today. How significant is this latest find from both Bahrain's point of view and for the global energy industry?
Well, this is a big deal for Bahrain. Remember, Bahrain is 32 islands of 1.4 million people. 60% of their export receipts, 70% of government revenue, and about 11% of GDP comes from petroleum production and processing. So finding this reserve, and we've got to wait till Wednesday to find out exactly how much the geologists think is a very, very big deal for the company, particularly not so much for the petroleum, but what they call deep gas. Natural gas, that's the future.
You're right, we still don't have all the details, so it's going to be a little bit hard to know, but how long could it be before Bahrain feels the economic impact of this new find?
Well, it depends how quick they want to rush out bonds for this exploration. It could be within a few months. Again, it depends on what the reserves are. The people who, where the worry here is not with Bahrain. It should be over in Saudi Arabia. Most energy analysts say 5 to 7 years, and Saudi Arabia is broke at current trends. And the last thing the Saudis want to see is another player come into the market, particularly at this level, particularly one who's not a member of OPEC. Everyone's putting all this faith in MBS, but it might turn out that those initials stand for mortgage-backed securities going forward. If these reserves, particularly the gas reserves, are what the early indications suggest.
I suppose you're absolutely right, Craig, that the gas is perhaps more important than the oil in this instance, because Saudi Arabia has been trying to get its hands on gas from that part of the world for quite some time. Its neighbor Qatar is sitting there with enormous gas reserves, but those two don't get on. So could this find by Bahrain, which is politically aligned with Saudi Arabia, could that help Saudi Arabia?
We'd have to talk to MBS about that. Let's look at it from the Bahrainian perspective. Bahrain has been troubled for years by two issues: a depletion of oil reserves and a depletion of fresh water reserves. Those are the two big problems on the island. This reservoir of energy is going to help. It might give them the money to build more desalination plants, which are very expensive to run. And it would also give them the energy to run those plants domestically. How this plays out, again, we'll know on Wednesday, but you raise a good point, is when are we going to see this? It'll happen when the Bahrainis get together with the bankers to figure out what kind of bonds they're going to issue for the development capital to go down and get this tight oil and deep gas out of the ground.
That is going to be very interesting to watch. Look, Bahrain has been trying to diversify itself away from fossil fuels for quite some time. Is this discovery going to make that process that much harder for Bahrain to do? In other words, is it going to be stuck with the curse of oil for the foreseeable?
Well, it is, but it's kind of, eased by the gas. The other thing you have to realize here, after petroleum, Bahrain's second largest export is aluminum. And we know with what's going on with the Trump administration and the tariffs that that those exports might be slapped. But I think for the Bahrain Petroleum Company, BAPCO, this is proverbial manna from heaven for them. It's just a matter of getting down there to get it out.
Right.
I mean, watch this space.
Okay, well, this is going to get very interesting. Craig Copetas in Paris. Thank you.